Hello, welcome to the podcast. So happy to have you here. Not sure where you are in the world. However, it is very windy where I am, and I feel that the wind sort of like discombobulates us a bit. I know my dog is just walking around going, "What is going on?" So, yeah, that's what's happening in my world. Today, I want to talk about confidence because I feel like confidence is something that most of us say we do not have. And I know for me personally, I have said most of my life, I do not have confidence. I don't have confidence in myself, in my decision making abilities, who I am, who I'm meant to be, all of those sorts of things. And I've always judged myself around that. I've always compared myself to other people who, appeared confident. And so let's have a chat about that and what confidence is and what my opinion around being confident actually comes from. And in my blog, I spoke about my confidence as a horse rider. And this was back when I was a youngster. I started riding horses. To be honest, I can't actually even remember how old I was. I may have been 6 or 7. I think I started competing when I was around 8 or so, and I heavily competed from the age of 8 to about 18 when, I made the decision to give up riding because then I was an adult and I needed to start adulting, and horse riding didn't actually fit into the equation. So when I was riding, I certainly appeared confident, and that's what the reflections back from other people was that I was such a confident rider. And yeah, I was. I was confident in my ability. I was certainly confident in my horse's ability. I had different horses. I actually started riding a Shetland pony. And for anyone who knows horses and Shetlands, you will know that they are little mongrels. They like they have this little horse syndrome. They are just so stubborn and so pig-headed, and my little white Shetland pony was the epitome of stubbornness. Like, he was just an absolute nightmare. But he taught me some pretty good skills, I'd imagine. And then I moved up to a pony who was just the lot of my life. We just won everything. We were so good together, and he was just my little magic grey pony. And then as I stepped up into the eventing world, I started riding thoroughbreds. Most of them were ex-racers. And yes, I had confidence. I loved riding. It was an absolute passion of mine. I knew I was good at it, and the reason why I felt confident was because it was me. That's how I showed up, and I just absolutely loved it. Now, when I say that I had confidence at the time, when, I reflect back, I didn't feel confident at the time. I obviously did have confidence, but I didn't feel that. And it was the perception from others that they could feel my confidence. And this is the thing that I want to talk about, is this perceived confidence and also this performed confidence, because I feel like a lot of the times we're showing up performing confidence when we actually don't truly feel it in our body. And I know this is true for me when I went into the working environment, turning up to work and, like, yeah, I can do this. I can do whatever my boss is asking me to say, can you do this? Can you do that? Yeah, no problems. And then shit myself about, well, how the fuck am I going to do this? Like, I don't even know how to do it. And I've just said that I can. And that's a real performed confidence. And there's a lot of people out there performing confidence. And I think that that's that real narrative of fake it till you make it, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, because it can lead to real confidence. It can motivate us. It can help us sort of like empower ourselves into the real confidence. However, if we're staying there, if we're staying in this performed confidence, it's not real confidence. And we're just perceiving, it's just another mask. We're just wearing this another mask of pretending to be someone that we're not, or that we don't feel in our truth, in our body, that we don't actually feel that. And, people say you're so confident and like you're dying inside. That is not authenticity. That is not really showing up who we are at our core. So, what I wrote about in my blog was confidence. There's a deeper layer to that. And for me, I truly believe that confidence comes from really embodying and stepping into your truth, into who you are. Because when you are who you are, when you are being unapologetically you, when you are stepping into your authenticity, confidence has no choice but to exude from you. Like it just comes out. And I think about the people who I admire, who I look up to, and they are simply being themselves. They are stepping out into the world, being unapologetic about who they are. And that just is confidence to me, that real embodiment of who they are. I feel that we can get so caught up comparing ourselves to others and doubting ourselves. That real self-doubt comes in when we are looking at other people and comparing how they're showing up into their world, what they're doing with their life, their success, their perceived success, and we compare ourselves with that. And even thinking about what you're going to do in your life, like who you're going to be when you grow up. And I remember being asked that question at school by the school counselor. I'm like, but how the fuck do I know? Like I'm 14 years old. Like how do I know who or what I want to be when I grow up? All I cared about was riding my horse. And yet I would look around at my peers and some of them just really appeared to know exactly what they wanted to do when they grew up. And I judged myself so much around this by thinking, well, should I know? Like, should I know what I'm going to do? Okay, well, I'll be a hairdresser or I'll, like just pick something that seemed like I was committing to being something when I grew up. And that always bothered me. And, I really compared myself to others through those times. And now looking back, I really understand, and I'll throw in human design here, that I have an undefined identity center. So I am meant to be fluid. I am meant to just read the environment around me. I'm not meant to have a fixed identity. And once I understood that, it's just like, oh, that just brought so much breathing room around this pressure of having to figure out or to tell other people who I want to be or who I am or what I'm going to do with my life, because that's not who I'm designed to be. So going back to this confidence, like stepping into that confidence of, I don't need to be specific about who I am. Like if I embody who I'm meant to be around that fluidity and about being able to shift and change and be a chameleon about who I am, like that is who I am, and really embracing that and really stepping into that, then the confidence comes. When I'm living in my authenticity, then I'm confident. And I feel a lot of people are getting trapped by this pressure of showing up as being someone who is confident about who they are and what they're doing and what direction they are and what's the 5-year plan and what's the 10-year plan. And that can be all consuming. It can be overwhelming. And for people with an undefined identity center, that is not how you're designed to be. And even people with a defined center, you do not have to have the 5-year plan because you are just consistent in who you are. That is your design. You don't need to express that and prove that to anyone. You just show up who you are, who you authentically are, stepping into every environment you are as the same person with someone who has a defined identity center. That is you. And you show up into every room as the same person. And you do not need to be apologetic about that. And yeah, so it's such a trap around this whole confidence piece of, we'll go and do this course and have this affirmation and look at yourself in the mirror every day and say these things and build confidence. For me, my opinion and what my message is around this is forget about the confidence. Don't worry about building confidence. Let's step into who we are, remembering who you are at your core, stepping into your authentic self, because that is where the confidence is. When you understand yourself, when you listen to your inner authority, when you sit with your body and listen to your wisdom, that is where the confidence comes from. That is the magic. That is who you are. So forget about the confidence. Forget about building confidence. Forget about this notion that I have no confidence. Step into who you are. And let's use this podcast as an example. I have absolutely no confidence about my ability to talk about these things. Like, who am I to talk about these things? And again, I have an undefined throat center. So this is a fear that sits in the undefined throat center. Well, no one's going to listen to me anyway, right? Like, this is the conditioning that is around that. I have no confidence in being a podcaster and sharing my message, yet I am showing up as me. I'm talking about what I believe in, what I'm passionate about, what my opinions are, what my insights are, what I've learned, what I've experienced in my life. And that resonates with people. If you're listening to this podcast, there's obviously something within you that resonates with how I'm speaking, what I'm talking about. That is confidence. You don't have to feel like you have it. You just need to be you. Step into your power. Follow the breadcrumbs of who you want to be in this life, what you desire, what your passions are. And when you share that, when you step into that, then you are confident to other people. Okay, I hope this has helped. And I hope that you've got from today's podcast what was meant for you. Keep following the breadcrumbs. Keep showing up as who you are, authentically who you are. So until next time, thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week.